Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and of course it's the Manchester Derby this weekend. So I wanted to talk to United fans, so I asked Joe from the Stretford Paddock to come and give his wisdom ahead of this game and talk all things red. The other side of Manchester, the red side of Manchester, which leads me nicely on actually to something that BT Sport are doing. This video is working with BT Sport because the Manchester Derby will be broadcast exclusively live on BT Sport on this Saturday, of course, at 11:30 AM. But interestingly, BT Sport is giving fans the opportunity to turn the city centre of Manchester red or blue ahead of the derby. Now, there's a big old screen in Manchester Arndale where you can go and vote over on Twitter at BT Sport Football, at BT Sport Football, sorry. And if you vote, fans can change the colour balance of the big screen at the Arndale Centre in Manchester. So if you want to make town more blue, do it right now. You can determine whether the city is more United red or City blue. So head over to the link in the description below. Get voting, Blues. The poll closes at 12:30 on Friday, 30th of January. Manchester's blue. We know it. We've seen the proof for the past few years. Go and confirm it over that BT Sport Football. Unchallenged. I presume we'll move straight on, Joe. Let's move straight on past that. How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's your channel, so I'll let you say that little stuff there, and we'll move on. But
it's a Twitter poll. I'm a bit nervous, I'll be honest, man. You've got the numbers there, if we're being honest, and I'm sure people outside of Manchester will be voting too, if we're being truthful. But either way, don't forget you can go check that out.
Need it, but yeah, I'm sure it helps.
Joe, we're going to get into a general chat about United and their season so far. But I wanted to do a quick little topic at the start of this, because we thought about doing a combined 11 when we did a head-to-head over on your channel, and both of us decided we can't be asked because it's just arguing for the sake of the video content, and we wouldn't cede any ground. So I thought a good idea was actually just to sort of give each other a bit of credit. Choose 3 players each that we take from the other teams, because City have not had a perfect start to the season, no, not as bad as some people would make out, but there are potentially some gaps, and United is still, of course, improving on Ten Hag, and I think there are some gaps there too. So I thought we'd probably go 1-on-1. You choose a player, and I'll choose a player, and see who would take. Now, I'll let you start as you're the guest. Who would you first pick from Manchester City to choose improve your team?
Obviously, there's 2 things to factor in here. The first one is what improves United in areas that we need improving the most, and the second one is what weakens City the most. So they're the 2 things that I'm trying to sort of culminate.
I didn't think about that side of it. That's interesting.
I've got a sort of a vicious and jealous side that I'm really pandering to.
Oh, I love it. It's Derby weekend. You got to do it, man. You got to be vicious.
I think he's the bedrock of the way you play, and I think it is an area that United are lacking is Ederson. I think without a ball-playing goalkeeper, your team would be excellent, obviously, because you're still a great team. But I think we saw with Bravo, and we've seen with other teams who play the way City want to play, when that first choice keeper or when the ability to play out from the back isn't there. I mean, even to the point where you look at Arsenal, who have got Ramsdale, who I think is a bang average goalkeeper, but because he's slightly above average at passing, they're a team that can now play out from the back. You don't even have to be that good at passing and playing the ball out from the back to massively change the way a team can play. And I do think Ederson over the years has been good. So I think he would improve United, and I do think that you'd really struggle, or you'd struggle to find someone that could do what he does for City.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah, I agree. I think even as I said in your channel as well, I think Ten Hag would take him as well, because De Gea's incredible shot stuff, but you just need it. I'm going to go initially with a controversial one from City fans, Marcus Rashford. I say controversial because his form has been so up and down, and he's such a big red and so on. But he's just the kind of thing that I feel like City are missing. I know he can give the ball away and he can be erratic every now and then, but he's clinical at the moment. And I just love his very simplistic approach to football. Beat a man, smack it in the back of the net. And it's right now, Rashford's pace, I kind of like his directness. I know he's not necessarily pure Guardiola, but I think he's also a sound bloke, which definitely helps. Rashford, even if he's a red, he's all right. He's a top bloke, as we've seen over the years with all his off the pitch exploits. But I just think he's a really dangerous footballer, and even if he didn't start every game, he's just such a threat, and he's such a plan B for Man City, and maybe even a plan A. That I think City would need. So I think Rashford, that goal for out wide, that pace. Once again, as well, he's the kind of person, with the pace and the counter that KDB would love, playing in, the through balls behind for him to run onto, and he draws people close and he can beat people, and I think Haaland would benefit from that as well. So that's who I'll go for. You second?
I think just to stop you on one point there, the idea that it would be this sort of second choice backup rotation.
Everyone is at City, mate. Everyone is. So they all rotate.
There's a difference. there's a difference between rotation and second choice. I do think that the inconsistency that you talk about is, I think it's not even inconsistency. He just had one bad season. Other than that, his numbers have improved every year, except last season where he was really poor. But I think there's multiple factors going into that: surgery, no preseason, all that kind of thing. But typically, his goals and assists went from single figures to low teens to 20s, then back down to like 3 or 4 last season. And this season we're back up to better than ever numbers wise. So yeah, I think that's a good choice. My second choice, it's a tricky one because I almost want to get Haaland out of the way because I don't want that to be my final one. And we're building up to what's the final one. So I'm going to go with Haaland now. Get him out of the way. United don't have a goal scorer that can do what Haaland does. Not many teams in the world do. And I think maybe unlike City, not that he's going to hold City back. I don't think he will, and I think he might make the difference in a quarter or semi-final here or there to win you the Champions League at some point. But I think that unlike City, Ten Hag has had a history of playing with target men, or has done that in the past. He did it with Sebastian Haller at Ajax, and whereas Guardiola has never really done that. And to see Guardiola all of a sudden buying a 6'5",
he had Lewandowski, didn't he? And
he did with Lewandowski, but again, at Bayern Munich, I think he did the bare minimum he could have done at Bayern Munich. No offense to Guardiola, I think they were a team that were challenging in the Champions League. They'd won it just before he got there, and then he failed to do so ever since. I don't think the best iterations of Guardiola, where he's overachieved, if you can say he ever has, is at Manchester City, and he's done that all without a sort of a target man.
Yeah.
So I think that whereas Ten Hag, I think, would be able to get Haaland in, he'd score loads of goals, and I think that we could maybe make that work even better than City have. Although he's doing fantastically at City, I'm not going to say he isn't. Yeah. And then it's a player we don't have. We don't have someone that can score 40 goals a season, and
he'd score loads.
Any team in the world would take him.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Score loads anyway.
I'm just really thinking that I'm genuinely struggling for my third choice. I know a second one, but I'm genuinely...
don't.
I'm not in an arrogant way, just genuinely because there's a lot of good players, but I'm looking at the team, I'm thinking I'm not crying out for them, not in a bad way. It's just but the next one anyway is Luke Shaw. Like I think he can be inconsistent, and as we chatted on your channel, months of inconsistency. Yeah. But then at the same time, I think he's just a natural left back, and City are crying out for a natural left back who, especially one with the experience that he's got. He can create goals, he can get forward, who can play centre back, as you were telling me recently. He's played centre back and did good there. And he's just once again, I think he's a really good fullback at the top of his game. When he's at his best, he's excellent. I guess I also would trust Pep to get make sure his best is there consistently, because he usually does with players. And I think Luke Shaw he's been there's been the butt of jokes for a while with his consistency and all that kind of stuff, but he's just a really good footballer when he's at his very best. So Luke Shaw for me, he's probably my second choice. I'm generally looking at your squad list trying to choose who I want to be the third, but I'll get onto that in a minute. Go on, who's your third?
Okay. Good choice on Shaw, by the way. I think he would, when he's at his best, he would surprise you with how with how competent he is. Yeah, he's a really good player. My third choice, and it's a tricky one because obviously the instinct is to go with De Bruyne, but I think that whilst he would improve Man United and he would start for United, obviously, I think if the player that would improve us the most is probably Phil Foden if we got him.
Yeah.
And obviously he's younger as well. I don't know if this the theoretical world we get the player for the rest of their career, or we just get him for a City or whatever. Who knows? But Phil Foden's got time on his hands where De Bruyne hasn't really.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if you put Foden on the right hand side, it's an area where I think Anthony's improving, and he's had a bit of a shaky start, but he's still getting goals. I don't want to knock Anthony because I think he's getting a lot of unfair stick at the moment. But Foden's someone that's got, he could. I think he's capable of a 20-goal, 20-assist season. And I'm not sure we've got many players in the squad other than Rashford who I think could do anything like that. So it was between De Bruyne and Foden, but I think with the age on his side, I'm going to go Phil Foden.
Okay, that's fair.
Playing on the right.
It'd be good on the right for you, because
taking Rashford's place.
No, that works as well. I think that'd work, especially when you got Haaland in the middle, which you're taking as well. So that's not a bad forward line, is it? Rashford, Haaland, Foden. I'm split between two. Casemiro clearly, but we have Rodri, and either way, if your team has either of them, you're both happy, aren't you? I mean, because they're both just two world class centre midfielders, and I don't want to. Occasionally, I guess Casemiro could play alongside Rodri, maybe him, but at the same time, Fernandes. I know he's not necessarily a Pep kind of player because he doesn't keep the ball particularly well, and he's a bit more direct and so on. But who would you choose for City? I'm curious. Like, I know I'm kind of flipping it, but tell me.
I think Varane would improve your defence. I think Martinez's his durability and his aggression and his ball playing would suit Pep Guardiola, and I think he's a left-footed centre back who's very good on the ball, who is fit much more often than Laporte is.
Okay.
I think either of those would play more often than I don't even know your centre backs are.
Well, I guess the thing is, I don't really feel like City have centre back problems because we have 5 very good ones. So I guess I'm tempted to pad out the squad somewhere else, and they are quality. And you know what, I'm going to go for probably Casemiro because Calvin Phillips, has been pretty much a bit of a damp
script.
What's that?
So what is going on there?
Just injuries.
We've got to talk about that in our video.
Yeah, just injuries, unfortunately.
But, why did you sign him?
The same reason we signed Ake, I guess. I thought they would. Do you know what? I think they probably just presumed his injuries would get better. Hopefully they will do, because Gundogan at one point was very injury prone too, and then he did become, we got Gundogan for 20 million because of his injuries, and he even got a year out when he joined City as well. But I hope he gets better. He's only 6 months in, and Ake was out for most of the first season. Then he's become a really good player too. But so far, I mean, look, if it was Rodri and Phillips or Rodri and Casemiro, I think I'd be happy with the latter for obvious reasons. And I think Casemiro and Rodri would play together very often as well. And I'm tempted by Eriksen as well, but for now it would be Rodri for Pep. For Pep it would be because I think he's more. Yeah, he's more of a ball player than Casemiro. He obviously has ability there, but Rodri's. I think he's got the highest, most complete passes in the Premier League game of like 170 or something, which is stupid. And that's obviously what Pep values, and he scores goals as well. So I'd probably say, but it's toss up between Fernandes for something different or Casemiro. So one of those two. I'm probably going to say Casemiro though. Anyway, that was fun. Go on.
Just at the end of this, then. So now let's say United have got Haaland, Foden, and who else did I pick? Who did I pick? Ederson.
Ederson, yeah.
You've lost. City's lost them, but you've got Rashford, you've got Casemiro, and you've got Luke Shaw. Okay. Which team do you think is better now?
So City,
those two teams head to head, who do you think?
I don't even know if Shaw starts ahead of Cancelo. That's the thing. But if say he does, I think that's still a pretty. And I'm not trying to be genuinely arrogant there. I just don't know if he does. No,
Cancelo's a good player.
Yeah, he's all right. Rashford would definitely play games as a I'm not honestly not trying to sound arrogant because I'm a City fan, but City are, we've got really good players who won the league. So over the past few years, and these aren't guaranteed to start in City's side just because Gundogan's not guaranteed to start in City's side, and Bernardo isn't, and Foden isn't, and Grealish isn't, and we've got a lot, and Stones, Diaz, none of these are guaranteed to start either. So, but I do think they would, potentially. The ones you've chosen improve United more. They do. I think that's then improving City because I think United have got more obvious gaps to improve still. Not because just because United are still improving to trying to catch where City have been over the past few years. I do think City's side overall squad is probably still better, but that they massively improve United, like massively, like that goal scorer, and then Ederson for you guys as well, and Foden. That mean your team's looking fucking strong then, isn't it? Really strong. And I definitely fancy chances in a derby with any of you guys. I still think City would have the probably. Who would we play then? If it was Rashford on the left and then Mahrez on the right, and then Casemiro alongside maybe alongside Rodri in a big game with KDB ahead of them, to dominate the midfield, and then maybe
in a big game, Pep would probably play neither of them, wouldn't
he? Yeah, true. It'd be Gundogan and then Stones there playing as a pivot or something like that.
Or your strikers in the field instead. So maybe a medium game. You get Rodri and Casemiro together.
Yeah, he's so bold, and I love it. I absolutely love it. That's our Pep though. I don't know is the answer. I think probably still with City fancy the chances, but United, your team would be well better, like massively better, I reckon. Bigger leap. So anyway, United are all right, aren't they, at the moment, Joe? They're doing well.
It's looking good, yeah. It feels like we're sorry to cut you off there.
But, no, good. That's all.
It feels like we're moving in the right direction, and in a more meaningful way. I know, obviously, under Solskjaer, I was a big fan of Solskjaer, and I defended him a lot more than some United fans did, because I think that just being excited to watch United, and you will know as a City fan over that time, you were probably more worried about playing us then
Yeah.
than you were under any manager post Fergie, because for whatever reason we would beat City most times that we played you. We would beat Chelsea most times that we played them. It was only really Arsenal that we sort of had this this kind of block against. But other than that, it felt like United were back to being a team that could win any game. We beat PSG twice away. Twice away. We beat top teams. We could do that for some reason, but that final block, that hurdle of real deep tactics and that kind of winning mentality that sometimes you need in a semi-final or final, it wasn't quite there. Whereas now, it feels as though that we've got a manager that's won stuff, even if it's only the Dutch First Division. It's a consistent, proven winner with a ludicrous goals for and goals against ratio for Ajax. Is a proper manager that is seemingly playing the most up-to-date tactics of in football. It's not under Van Gaal. It was tactical, but it was kind of tactics of 10 years ago. Under Jose, it was this sort of never say die, banging your head against the locker room door type mentality, which works for him in short spells.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like it could set United up for 10 years. Whereas Ten Hag, I feel as though we've got a manager that's playing modern day football that seems to get on with his players. People seem happy. There's no talk of discontent in the dressing room. He's handled the big decisions well. Dropping Ronaldo, even before he did this Piers Morgan interview, he dropped him. He wasn't a first choice player anymore. Dropping Maguire, punishing people for turning up late. 𝐌𝐞𝐫𝐻 did it in pre-season and he didn't start him. And that goes up to Ronaldo, it's Rashford, whoever it is. I think that we're seeing a manager that, to me at least, and you can maybe say what it's like from an outside rival perspective, but it's a manager that seems like a proper, competent, top of the line current manager who is doing things the way that the other top managers are doing things, and it's really promising.
No, I agree. I mean, Ten Hag is. I was hoping you get Pochettino instead, because I don't think he's I think he would have been doing not as well as Ten Hag is doing, and obviously I'm a City fan and I like to hope that United are shite, but at the moment you're looking good, you're looking better. I think there's still some fair question marks. You can see how it lasts. You've had a good run, which is not just trying to you only beat who you play, but it has been against some slightly lesser teams. But this derby is a big test for United, and this is, I think, after all those wins that you've had, this is a real good test now. Of United, of how far they've come, because you're ready for that test now, aren't you? If you know what I mean, like you're like if United are poor in this game, I think the narrative will immediately be, what was all that for? If you know what I mean, all those wins. Has anything changed? Like, are you? Yeah. And that's probably not fair, but I think you want to see improvement, don't you? Surely, because obviously last time we played it was 6-3, and if it was the same again, like, would it feel a little bit like, we've improved, but have we improved in the big games? Would you be frustrated?
It would obviously be frustrating, but I think it's harsh to say that we've not played anyone big or that we've played easier teams, because we're the only team to beat Arsenal this season.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We beat Liverpool, who were a struggling Liverpool, but we beat them. We drew against Chelsea in a game that we probably should have won at Stamford Bridge. We dominated Tottenham.
Yeah,
we've not played top teams in recent weeks, but you'll know any football fan should know that if you beat all the teams that are below you in the league, you'll win the league.
No, it's good. It's good.
It's easy to say you've not played top teams, but like I said, you can only play the teams you play against. My only concern about this game, and I'm not doing I told you we won't win thing, is that the last couple of weeks, United have just looked like a team that is maybe coming to the end of a good run. And I'm worried. And my concern is that City might expose that, because we've just looked. Ten Hag said it himself, so I'm not picking faults where there aren't any. But we've just looked a bit more stretched in midfield. The distance between the defence and the attackers have been a bit bigger. There's a bit more space for the opposition. I thought we let Everton do more than we should. We let Charlton do more than we should. So I just hope that we can remember what made us so good over the last sort of couple of months and have that compact control that we've had. But it's going to be different against City anyway, because we can't both have 65% possession. And track record says that if one team has to, it's usually Pep Guardiola's team. So it'll be interesting to see how we play under those circumstances. But it's obviously been much better. And if we did lose and it was another embarrassing one, then there would be a few question marks. But again, it's so early on under Ten Hag that you can't completely rejuvenate and revolutionise a team that is still pretty much last season's team, other than 4 different players, in 4 months. So let's wait and see. But hopefully it's another good win.
I can admit, and I'm going to be nice, I actually don't think United's confidence right now is misplaced. I think you are actually getting better, I think, because you've actually got a serious manager. Who's I think that unfortunately is a positive note for United. I still think there's probably a long way to go. I mean, I watched the United Wolves game and I thought it was diabolically low level football. No offense, but I think that it was just such a dull game. Even though there was some chances, it just felt so scrappy. So I still think United got a long way to go. But you are going there, and I think Ten Hag is going to improve you. Hopefully not enough though. Obviously ahead of this derby. Joe, are you going for? We chatted on your channel. I think you went for 1-1. Are you still going for that?
Yeah.
You know, is that your vibe? Still?
Yeah, that might change once I see the team. Whatever this sort of superhero, final roll of the dice play that Pep Guardiola's alluding to, that might change my mind.
What's he doing?
But as of right now, I think a draw. And to be honest, I'd take a draw. After the 6-3, I think staying within kind of touching-ish distance of City after the game would be a good thing, because 7 points and 4 points are so different. Obviously, 1 point would be great, but I think 1-1. I think it's going to be scrappy, and I just hope United look like a team that is not completely overrun like they were at the Etihad. What do you think?
I went for 2-1, though I just saw some rumours that Stones may be out, which is a bit. We'll see, and I don't think.
2-1 United. I've changed my mind.
We'll see. Either way, guys. Either way, don't forget this game is on BT Sport. It will be broadcast exclusively live on BT Sport 1, 11:30 the coverage starts. Don't forget as well, you can get involved in the big old poll over at BT Sport Football, where there's a big old screen as well at the Arndale Centre in Manchester, where fans can change the colour balance of that screen and determine whether the city is more United red or City blue. So head over there. The poll closes at 12:30 on Friday the 30th of January. Get your say in. Make it blue. What we know it is. Make it. Prove it. Guys, thanks very much for watching this. Thank you to Joe. Joe, you're a superstar. Cheers, mate. And we will see you for the derby. Come on, City of the Blues.